Yeah, I mean, we had a Kha'Zix jungle yesterday, so
Hmm.
it's sort of those. Not everything is possible, but there are a fair few things that are potentially going to make their way onto the Rift, of course. But jumping into this pick ban phase, I mean, we haven't seen a consistent prio around too many champions today. There has been a bit of variety in both the pick and ban phase.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, I mean, just I don't want to say weird priorities, but I mean, it kind of has been weird priorities on certain things, right? Like, I think, comparative to what I'm used to in the LCP, for example, picking your bot lane without, like, sort of either not picking a tier 1 sort of AD carry, like the Yunaras or the Corkis that can sort of pee with everything, but picking things that generally come as a combo deal by themselves quite often leads you into a drafting hole, and the same can be said for your top side champions. So there is generally a structure in the draft that, the tier 1 teams do tend to favor, and there is good reason for that. So we'll see sort of how these two teams navigate that situation, or if they do even navigate the situation.
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen, especially at the top level, is that there sort of seems to be groupings of how you prio in terms of champion stack. Usually it's, jungle bot lane duo or jungle mid top. It's not sort of jungle bot lane and then, just throw something in. Like, there is a clear game plan that they want to achieve, and they want to secure at least, 60% of that game plan to start things off. And I mean,
Horizon's open, pick it immediately.
Yeah, pretty much. That was the go-to for a good long while. Okay, so Nocturne, Nico, Udyr, Zaheen so far. Not any of the champions that I would have expected to be that heavily priored in the ban phase.
Yeah, I mean, the Zaheen has become a bit of a scary jungler. Again, I don't really like it that much in the top lane in general. I think its lane phase is very, very exploitable. If you are willing to play bruises, I think it's very good against tanks. But I think if you are sort of like something like Zaheen into, let's say, Renekton, he does struggle quite a lot. So they're going to be banned last year for the side of UNSW Howl. SkullBullet will get to pick their final ban before we head into the picks. And yeah, I mean, UNSW Howl's bans are relatively standard up until that Sivir. And the Orianna, kind of the main standard ban coming through for SkullBullet.
Yeah, Orianna, has been pretty strong consistently throughout this year, to the point where it was almost a permaban for the first 4 to 5 weeks of play in Asia Pacific. But Ashe coming through more often than not, we see this paired with the Seraphine. It has not really had the same effect with other supports as of late, but it did fall off pretty significantly last year. It made its way back into the mainstream at the start of this year.
Yep, absolutely. We'll see if they want to pair it with something really strong, right? You can do things like the Ashe Seraphine, which is a really, really strong lane. But also, I do think simplifying the game in many aspects is quite nice, right? The engaged supports just give you a guaranteed way to start a team fight, or a guaranteed way to look for a pick or whatever. And I do think that is really, really powerful when you aren't so used to playing in a competitive environment, to just to have a guaranteed sort of trigger pull in your team composition. Yunara to Taliyah. Now, this is shaping up to be what you'd expect out of a draft phase. You love to see it.
There you go. Ashe Seraphine locked in for Indy, Roke, and Slick. So, I mean, Yunara, Taliyah, so it does speak to they're looking for a little bit of more pressure in terms of these side lanes as well, with that Weaver's Wall, being able to get into the thick of things, sort of flip the numbers. Victor coming in response. I mean, do you angle towards something like the Pantheon in the jungle, get that Great Wall of Sparta combo, huge amount of global prio? Because, I mean, especially with Yunara, you don't desperately need to pick your support here. You don't need to prioritize that. You can slot so many different champions with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately that would have been a really nice way to look at things. I mean, Scion, honestly, I don't hate this at all either. You can pick the Scion into 2 bans, so take away some of those champs you may be a little bit more threatened by. There's one, Gwen, being taken away. There's obviously, I mean, Gwen's really the main one, unless you're worried about them picking something like the Varus top. But in general, I mean, you've just taken away the best pick in my eyes against the Scion. And it is, again, a guaranteed engage tool. You just press the R at the enemy team. Even if you don't hit the damn people, you just end up in the middle of 4 people. Fight has started. And he's very
got great follow-up in the Taliyah. So, I mean, the go button is very much there. The follow-up is very much there. I mean, look, realistically, given the ban priority from UNSW, how you could still look at something along the lines of that Pantheon even.
You can, yeah. I think Pantheon still makes a lot of sense here in this draft if they want to go towards it. They will get first pick after these bans. Milio taken away first, so worried about sort of that cleanse that he has. It would make sense to me to now ban Lulu, just based on Yunara Lulu being a strong combination. It also is a range champ that like, and there it does get taken away. So I think good identification there for the side of UNSW Howl. So that is the ban phase now over and done with. Gonna get a support, I mean, you could just go the Pantheon and leave support for counterpick to see if you can find some way to counter the composition, but instead going for that Karma.
Yeah.
So trying to answer back some of that lane pressure with this Karma, but I still don't think you have the answer to it. I think this Ashe Seraphine still should be really winning in that bot side.
Yes, the classic Kazande pickup. I mean, it's going to do perfectly fine. It's going to be that tank slap fight. Zion is just going to happily sit there and trade this CS. Look, it is going to be an island, much as it has been for the longest time. Volley Bear jungle, it would look like from up.
Yeah, and it has the Seraphine to buff it up, so it does have a bit more maneuverability in these team fights. The Kazande versus Sion, again, Kazande does well into the tank, so it'll be a perfectly good lane for him, but as long as Sion survives, scales a lot better than the Kazande does, and also fills that sort of hole of engaging in the team fights are way much better than the... the Kazande does. And yeah, Talia Jungle is going to be the eventual pick here, so, I mean, it should clear. It should clear pretty well. Match the Volley Bear. It's going to be hard for the Volley Bear to find play into this Talia, and the Syndra has a pretty decent time into the Victor. Very vulnerable, though, the Syndra. You have to be very careful of when you choose to use your Scatter the Weak, because as soon as that's down, you are very much under threat, and you also have to keep in the back of your mind the opportunity for Ashe to send those ultimates to the mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it gets even worse because eventually, or traditionally, we see the ADC, the bot lane duo, they pivot mid, especially with an Ashe. I mean, it gives you a huge amount of global play with that Enchanted Crystal Arrow in those side lanes, so you do need to sort of have your head on a swivel if you're not paying attention, if you are sort of in the zone in your side lane. That can be a pretty drastic thing. You know, you get locked in, suddenly, boom, there's an arrow, and you're just getting run down. So you got to be pretty aware with this draft so far. But at the moment, I couldn't clearly say one team has the better draft at the moment. It is going to come down to execution, but I'm here for it. Look, it's been a while since we saw the Talia jungle.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really know if one team is necessarily hard winning in the draft. I do think the Syndra, as long as it isn't caught by the Ashe ult, answers a lot of what UNSW Howl is trying to do. So, like, if I were to be on either of these teams, playing either the Sion or the K'Sante loading in, I think I'd rather be the Sion loading into this game. While Ashe isn't Ezreal or Jhin, actually does do some damage to tanks, it still isn't sort of that really, really high damage sort of tank shredder, not in the same way that Yunara can be. And honestly, even Syndra, once she gets access to that execution on her ultimate, actually does have a lot of threat over these tanks. And K'Sante as well is like a pseudo tank. As soon as he ults, loses pretty much all of his resistances. So yeah, I do think I do favor SkullBullet's draft, but again, it is always going to come down to execution. Doesn't matter if you have the best draft in the world.
Is for Genie on this Victor, because notoriously a mobile champion, as soon as we hit 6, that Weaver's Wall becomes a real problem. If Zinc can land a stun, a Scatter the Weak onto this Victor, suddenly you've got Talia there. It's an incredibly hard gank to get out of for a Victor. So, look, it's going to be a rough lane post 6.
Yeah, possibly.
It's already rough already, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, Syndra just... Actually, I don't think level 1 should be won by the Syndra, but Syndra is typically a reasonably decent pick into the Victor. Obviously, the Victor's CC has a pretty long timer for it to actually CC you, whereas Syndra can answer back really quickly. But at level 1, typically Victor is Thanos with his Q trade.
Decent amount of CS, unfortunately, because when we panned over to them, it was a 6-1 CS lead, and then Zinc proceeded to lose another couple of minions on top of that.
Absolutely. So pushing here in the bot side for the Ashe Seraphine. Now, one thing that is important when you have a lane like the Ashe Seraphine, and especially when it's double ranged into double range, is you do need to protect that lane. Right, you want to have this Ashe Seraphine constantly threatening, constantly pressuring this Yunara under the tower. And if you really do want to achieve that, your Volibear has to make a concerted effort to be here at any timers that Goosey could potentially look for a gank, or at least set up visions so that it can't happen. Obviously at level 6 that becomes a whole lot harder than it is now, but still, for the time being, you really want to protect this bot lane.
Absolutely. And Yunara, while not as egregious as it has been as the last champion that you want running away with anything, and again, yeah, the problem is Zinc consistently trading into Genie at the cost of so many minions.
Yeah. Genie doing a great job in the mid lane for now, and Looks like Ridley Rogue gets caught up there by the slow from Yunara. Is going to be forced to flash away, and heal also used for Slick. No respawn damage at all. Both junglers now on the bottom side of the map. Slightly faster on the clear was Marvin here on the volley bear, but Goosey's going to be able to answer back. And the priority is, especially condition of the bot lane, allows for SkullBullet to get priority. The flash forward, there's no flash on this Ashe. That's going to be first blood guaranteed being picked up, although out of mana made it a little bit rough. And Slick now trying to answer back. I'm not sure he has what it takes to get that done. But it is first blood down the bot lane. And it's Wrangle that picks it up. I think a misplay in the 2v2 led to this situation. Luckily, it was not the Yunara picking up the kill.
Could have made a bad situation all the worse, but potentially it could have been any number of things that were accidentally secured the kill there for Lux with the tether down. Was both summoners burnt by Wrangle though to make sure that kill happened? Burnt the cleanse. I don't necessarily know it was needed, given that there was just nowhere for Rindy to go. Okay, no, so it was just a careless auto attack there from Lux, unfortunately.
Boosting now up on the top side. Well, no mana on the Scion makes it pretty hard to actually achieve something. Now, when I was watching the qualifiers, there was a game. It actually went. So it was a best of 3. I went to the 3rd game. The game that SkullBullet lost was game 2, and Daya was actually on the Scion. And I don't think I've ever seen a more unkillable Scion in my life. Like, I don't even know how they ended up losing that game. It was kind of insane, but definitely showed some proficiency on the champion. And there is a considerable difference between just picking Scion and being good at the Scion.
Yeah, I mean, a tank can be as tank as he wants, but if they just walk around him and kill the rest of the team, it does become a little redundant, unfortunately. So there is a natural weakness built into these tanks. They won't also just 1v5.
Oh, wow. It's not always the case.
No, not always, but more often than not, if there's a full 5-man team staring down at you, you might be in a bit of trouble.
The recall comes through. CS actually slightly favouring Daya for the time being, as he will be able to collect that wave. Goosey and Marbin once again meeting here in the river. Flash from Marbin, but it's a great response here from the Syndra. Does have to eventually flash away too, as he was caught between that Victor and the Volley Bear. Flash is burnt there, both the Syndra and Volley Bear losing them. Goosey's going to try and take this opportunity to start up the Dragon to see if there's any response, but it does feel a little risky, being that your Volley Bear is only level 5 without that summoner.
Well, Goosey, it's not the fastest the Dragon takes, but we'll be able to get it done. There's not really any threat, and the lane prio means that he does have support coming at a moment's notice. So it seems as if it will be just given up here by Howl. Almost PK'd
my
by the
lord.
Dragon.
Oh, no! The Dragon finishes the deal. And Locks now may be caught out of position. Does land the Manticore to slow down rather this Ashe. And Dragon reset comes through. What even happened? Slick just getting it done.
Yeah, Goosey might be a bit rattled after that one. He thought he had the Dragon, thought he had the support. And then the support, Seraphine comes in, throws a blind Q into the brush and collects the kill. Cha-ching.
And how do we just died solo to the Dragon.
Yeah, he's like, I'll just throw it blind, and Goosey walks back into it.
Oh, he flashed into it. He
Even
tried
worse.
to flash smite it. Oh, no.
Even worse.
No. Now, that's a little bit of a disaster, unfortunately. Once again matching. Oh, this might not be too good. Weaver's Wall comes out, but Marvin stops it in its track. Goosey is going to be able to get away, but Daya, he's getting relatively low. Does have to flash away from the Pathmaker.
Well, the classic. Just, it's constant fighting. Usually it doesn't result in kills, but you pan back to top lane time after time, it'll just be two big tanks. Okay, there you go. 2v1.
Oh, the classic. Wave building up against her. This would have eventually crashed too by the looks of it. So possibly playing too far up in the lane. Imagine it was flashed on by this Karma. No flash available to the Ashe, so it was a pretty clean kill.
Yeah,
Again, it's the bot
Slick
lane
off
here.
roaming the map. It was always going to be a bit of a dicey situation for Indy.
Nox once again showing up in the mid lane, but will be matched this time by Slick. Grobs are now spawning. Slick is up in that area, but neither jungle seems particularly interested in starting them off spawn. Oh, nice snare coming through, and Zinc might just be dead here in the mid lane. Lox does speed him up, gives him that shield. It actually keeps him alive! And the tower not quite going to get that next auto attack off. That could have finished off the Seraphine.
Slick almost got another blind kill there. Unfortunately, the range not benefiting the Seraphine in this situation, but a narrowly avoided disaster for Zinc in the mid lane. I think he'd be counting his lucky stars there, because he very, very nearly went down.
It is very far down in CS though. So doing a great job is Genie Gold in the mid lane here on the Victor. Keeping himself at a substantial advantage.
Genie's chosen both. Zinc just too eager to trade in the mid lane, and you can see the CS differential being the thing that suffers because of that.
Absolutely. Will be the grubs picked up by Goosey. Flashback available now for Rindy Rogue, so has that added safety. Ooh. Oh!
And airball!
Oh!
Oh! No.
Oh my lord! We almost hit 3 people on the way off the map.
Beautiful drop goal, straight between the uprights, and Genie's dead. The conversion off the money, but it's collected off the post for a try.
Yeah, unfortunately. In the 1v1, once you do have access to some ability power, the Syndra does become quite powerful. No Merc treads at that time for the Victor. Now does have access to them, and oh dear, straight into the wall. Taya no flash, he is going to be taken out. And Cassante against the tank, always a good time. Very, very little the Sion can really do at this stage. Has to just try and navigate as best he can. Obviously he has more range than the Cassante with the Q, with the E. Just has to try and collect as much CS as possible. But now that puts Happy up 700 gold.
Yeah, I mean, look, probably could have played a little bit safe there, but it doesn't need to be, trading all that heavily. Just collect your CS and move on. By the way, I mean, the big disparity in that top lane is going to be the fact that the Sion is going to be able to get to team fights just that little bit quicker than a Cassante, a lot quicker than a Cassante, depending on, flank wards and all that. But yeah, not ideal. You don't want to be soloed out in your lane like that.
Absolutely not. Cassante looking like it will be that Jack Show first, I'd imagine. Sunfire for Daya. Both mid laners presumably heading towards the Black Fire Torch, although only with the Lost Chapter. There's a lot that can really be picked up from it. Daya, though, unfortunately, looking for possibly the proxy, and against Cassante, there's just no way out once he's on you, outside of having access to the ultimate or the flash, and so being chased down, I imagine, will be found eventually. Actually goes wide on the pathmaker and gets to waddle out. I think that definitely should have been a kill, but nonetheless.
No, it's okay, because according to TikTok, Daya is ending by building a Sunfire. It should always be Hello Radiant. Yeah. But right now, I mean, a lot of posturing around this dragon after Goosey's misstep earlier. I think it's given Howl a lot of confidence when it comes to these neutral objectives.
Unlucky. Ultimate comes out of Slick. Fortunately, does get the flash away from Goosey on the Taliyah as they look towards their second dragon of the game. Not able to answer. Finally finding some of that priority in the bot lane from this Ashe Seraphine now, and has allowed, alongside Marbin's slightly quicker clears, for them to establish these dragons. Of course, Goosey got soloed by the first dragon.
Yeah, well, look, with an assist from the Seraphine, the supports don't get all that much. We might as well give it to him. Substantially, though. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's so close. Correct idea, though. I really like
No.
this. Oh, Genie doesn't have flash. Needs to really dodge.
Oh,
I mean, okay, I was going to say needed to dodge the seismic shove. I was wrong. We didn't even need to use the goddamn seismic shove. We're just auto-attacking that guy.
yeah, unfortunately, Genie caught a little bit like an NPC from old school RuneScape there, just standing happy as Larry until someone shows up to ruin their day. But it is what it is. I mean, look, this is what you've kind of waited for Zink. He's had a bit of a rough time in lane, down in a bit of CS, but Syndra is one of those champions that does scale reasonably well. You just give a bit of momentum, that's all it takes, and it can tip the scale.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the reason we're seeing in this game is a prime example the reason why in professional League of Legends you typically see things like, you know, Aurora, Sylas, Akali, Ari in the mid lane, things that have some innate safety, because, I mean, all it took is a couple pixels different of an Ashe ult, and it would have been the Syndra that's dead there, right? It's just, if you don't have flash, you're dead. If you get ganked it, or if you slightly push up, you're just dead. And so it makes it very, very difficult to play these immobile control mages, which sure they scale very well, but it's hard to get there without really falling behind the curve of the map.
Yeah, sort of that high risk, high reward situation where you can become a bit of a monster, but you're also very exploitable before you get to that point. And there we go again. We see it on Showcase that Syndra Scat of the Week does have a almost deceptive range at times with how far away it can hit you from.
Absolutely. Slowly scaling up down the bot side. Wrangle finds himself with a 1k gold advantage. Much the same does Goosey on the Taliyah. In a good spot within this game, our SkullBullet. 2k advantage for the time being, but it is the Dragons currently favouring UNSW Howl, as they do lead 2-0. And it will be the Hextech Soul this game.
Yeah, not the Chemtech, thank goodness. But I mean, Howl having all that prio after Goosey loses some big map prio, taking the first one. Damage dealt all game.
Oh.
Slap fight in the top lane. Daya has not been giving as good as he's taking.
That's a depressing total for the Volibear.
Yeah. Well, he's not been involved in a damn thing. The fact that he's done 400 damage is impressive enough.
Yeah, it does force away the flash. Actually, he's going to be able to get in. Does have access to the ult. Oh, dear. Oh, Novus. Oh, no. Not only was he not close enough to the tower to shut it down, but he didn't make it over the wall either. Really, really just got the worst of both worlds. Oh, no. It's a disaster.
As a polar bear there. He just tumbled head over tail. Ain't nothing but dirt.
Yeah, unlucky. Unlucky.
Needs a higher agility level for that shortcut.
Oh, maybe walks a bit too far up. Does have flash. Ultimate is going to be flashed away from, but that's a cleanse used from Wrangle. Still has the tenacity from it, though, as the snare. Saving the day from Slick. Still Wrangle and Locks. Flash away. Oh, no. It's a disaster. Not able to find that
switch if I've ever seen one.
Bot lane continues winning. Look at this, man. I'm still impressed we get to see damage done by items. Except Sunfire. I think Sunfire is showing us damage per second.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was damage done, given how that top lane is going. We'll see. If it changes in the next wee while, then we'll know. But yeah, it might just be the consistent damage output.
Yeah. So 2.5k gold advantage, mostly in that bottom lane, which is exactly where you'd want the SkullBullet. Top lane suffering a little bit, but the good news is your top lane that's suffering is a Scion.
No, it has to be damage because it just went up one because he got a couple of CS. So.
No, but he got health as well from the minions, so it does.
That's what I mean. He killed the minions, his health goes up, and damage goes up by one.
Oh right, yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant damage down.
No. It'd be pitiful if it did one damage.
Oh yeah. I mean, it doesn't do much damage, but yeah, it should do more than one to the Cassante. Good little bit of poke.
Again, posturing around these dragons. It has been. Oh
my god, the drive-by. Yeah, now we're with our team. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we need the Scion ult, to be fair. Connects right onto the Karma. Happy Seven's found a flank. Can he find his way in? He is going to be stunned up, but that's Locks going down. Daya without the ultimate. A fantastic stun out of Zink. And it's going to be Happy able to take down Daya. Goosey, Wrangle, and Zayak, the 3 carry champions, are still left up. Can they defend the Dragon against 5 strong? For the side of University of New South Wales, a good stun, but it's going to be the Weaver's Wall. Zayak is going to go down. The Dragon slow all, but helps to confirm it. And that is now Soul Point being picked up here for the side of UNSW Howl.
No, rough gigs. You know, SkullBullet looking to start at these dragons, and then suddenly that payphone behind them is ringing, and it's Howl coming in. The answer to the call. It's just a clean sweep. 3 dragons in a row, where SkullBullet has been the one to start things off, only for it to be ripped away from them like a handset.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, I think Zinc played this fight really well. He landed so many good stuns. This one slightly missed the Seraphine. Assault connects onto Lox, and that really sets the stage for the fight. Happy coming in on the flank as well. Does completely zone out both the AD carry and the jungler. And then it's just all over from this point, despite what was honestly a reasonable amount of damage being put out here from the carries, as particularly Zinc on the Syndra.
Yeah, and Slick surviving all of that. I mean, Zinc dumps everything onto the Seraphine to try and take him out of the equation. It's just not enough. He stays alive. He's able to come in the tail end, just keep buffing up the team and allow Howl to walk over that dragon. Oh, scatter the weak. What an egregious ability.
Now, kills do even out. Gold, much the same. Very slight lead now for UNSW Howl, but Lox is going to be taken out again. Caught well out of position there.
Yeah. Poor Lox think he's a smooth one. Not quite the vision control that they needed, and getting caught by multiple members. Marvin, who did not have much of anything to do in this game for the longest part, was at 400 damage, just turned things around. Oh boy, Zinc. He's about to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah. That's the tower now, not going to assist yet. I think slowly but surely now getting further and further ahead. They catch up and take the lead just like that.
Oh, Marvin spent the first 10 minutes of the game just not having any real contribution. Now he's just moonwalking across the map, making SkullBullet
He's looking for
miserable.
another 2.
Oh,
Goosey. It will work out. There's no way out of this for the Taleo. Just absolutely taking names. Are both Slick and Marvin.
Cooked.
Wrangle's still strong on the Yunara. It's not like the game's over, but my oh my did they just throw away what was a very substantial lead.
Yeah, well, there you go. Nearing on 2,500 gold. It swung back almost the exact same amount, so a total of 5k gold swing back in favour of this Howl roster as we rapidly approach the 21st minute of the game.
I mean, what are the item spikes we're really waiting for? Cosmic Drive rather, sorry, for Zinc. Can come through soon. The Lich Bane's an interesting choice out of the Victor. Of course, he does auto attack with that, the Q of his, but still a lot of ranged champions for you to be looking to weave those in.
I mean, look, it's a solid position. You know, obviously, Yunara can still be a bit of a beast. He's up 1,000 gold in that bot lane, has the Fiend Hunger bolts. So if there is an opportunity for this Yunara to get uptime in a team fight, things could quite consistently swing back in the favour of SkullBullet. But the problem is there's just so much engage from downtown for this Howl roster. You think you're safe as a Yunara, and then suddenly, boom, in comes a Volibear with a Tombstone Pile Driver, and you're in the dirt.
Yeah, I mean, he has Cleanser, Karma, and a Mikhail's Crucible. So I think, honestly, if anyone on this team is safe, it is Wrangle. But I think it's Zinc, really, that has to watch out. And honestly, Lox as well.
For sure. Oh, Dire. Oh, Dire.
I mean, I'd be surprised if he dies here. I'm going to be honest.
Oh,
El Casante Volibear, and I'll killing this guy.
They're getting in his head. They're putting pressure on it. That's the main thing.
I don't know. Like, obviously, each person themselves, but when I'm playing a tank and someone ganks me for, like, 200 damage, I'm feeling good about it. You know, like, that's given me confidence.
It
did get his ult. That is, yeah, admittedly, they get his ult, but it will be back almost, if not on time, for the Hextech Soul.
So yeah, they're looking for something down here in the bot lane, looking to exploit this immobile Victor once again, but support is very much there. But no vision, so they are unaware that there is shenanigans coming from SkullBullet.
How do you establish any sense of control over the river? Yeah. Well, it's going to start with Zink. Dodge the Ash Shoal! He doesn't, but no one's there to follow up. The Ash Shoal does go awry. I mean, it does land, but nothing coming from it. Happy second, though. Trying to pressure at the Scion's health bar, and doing a great job, but Zink lands a massive stun. That's 2 flashes immediately used. If through comes the Seraphine, but Marvin's having to flash away. Nice stun coming through. Daya unable to move. Will have the ultimate. 2 seconds. 1 second, and now he can look to go in, and he will! Will he land? Not quite, but he'll get the slow. The flash still not there now. The Victor, the Ashe, and the Seraphine all losing that summoner spell, and control over the river has now been afforded to the side of SkullBullet, but trying to fight back for it with that range is UNSW Howl. They find a way onto Wrangle. That's going to be the Mikhails. The flash now down to this Yunara. Ultimate is going to be used. A nice knockup. The ultimate. Zink's going to go down. Smite is going to secure the Dragon Soul. And it's going to be UNSW Howl that take the team fight win with only Locke standing. And even that's not for long.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's a position of even footing there for SkullBullet. You've got this big beefy Scion, you've got a very, very strong Syndra in the mid lane, but that collapse comes through from Howl, and all of a sudden, SkullBullet have just turned the sausage meat. They're put through the grinder. In comes that big volley bear, yoinks the dragon away to Soul. And suddenly, the entirety of the SkullBullet roster have just been sent back to Lumbridge. No items, no gold, nothing. They are just in the dirt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It feels very, very difficult once you did throw the very substantial lead they had. Yunara's not even at the 3-item mark yet, which maybe then she can start to do some damage through both this Cassante and the Volley Bear. But ultimately, I mean, you've drafted yourself a comp where almost all of your damage is coming through as magic damage. And so it's really easy to build against. But even then, I mean, this Cassante is building predominantly armor. Because no one's killing the Volley Bear. I mean, neither the Talia or the Syndra are killing the Volley Bear anyway. And so as long as Cassante can withstand the Yunara, you're going to have a pretty free time within the team fights. With the Hextech Soul now, it's going to become a near an impossibility to try and fight. You have the Seraphine, the extended range from her, Victor, Ashe, just constant slows on slows. And Ashe taking, what is it called? Approach velocity as well. Once you get slowed by that Hextech Soul, Ashe gets onto you very, very easily, and you really cannot leave from that point.
Yeah, I mean, synergistically, still you make the argument second worst soul, second best soul for an Ashe to have after that cloud, which is just so strong at the moment. But with that approach velocity, rune selection, this Ashe is nigh impossible to get away from. So you're in a really rough spot if she finds an angle.
Absolutely. So with the Baron, the Hextech Soul now looking to push. I mean, not doing the greatest job of syncing up those minion waves. I don't think we need the Victor and Cassante matching both in the same lane. Not even making any damage yet onto that mid tower, but should be able to take it out very soon. And that's a big chunk of damage onto Zink. Not really anything in return. Happy Second loses a reasonable amount of his HP, and the tower adds to that ever so slightly.
Very much coming into his own. Oh, Dale wants it.
Yeah, finds his way straight onto the Ashe, though. Can they find the damage for it? Just constantly slowed up. She's able to walk on out of there. Marvin has altered the tower, and on the backside of him, Zink has nowhere left to run. Unfortunately, it's a very clean ace. What looked like a possible avenue in onto this Ashe, with the slows coming through, both the Hextech Soul as well as just natural Ashe slows. There was no way to go forward. No, the ace coming through, Box is spawning, but it should be the game. Going over to UNSW Howl.
Yeah, SkullBullet, unfortunately, just a bunch of muggles in a wizarding world. They walk up, think they've got an angle in, and then suddenly Lord Victor walks up, Avada Kedavra down the mid lane, wipes out the entirety of that team with the Chaos Storm. And the wizarding world watches on in horror as the Dark Lord and his team win.
Yeah, so the Nexus. Yeah, I mean, again, I like the draft in terms of, like, you get a bit, what is it? tricky, I suppose, picking up the
Yeah.
Talia early, an obvious flex pick, but then you've just overdrafted magic damage. I mean, Yunara, one of the few AD carries that actually output magic damage as her autos. Obviously a very, very insignificant amount, but still it adds to the fact that you've got 3 carries, all of which are doing magic damage. Sion, whose majority of his damage when you get to those team fights typically is magic damage through that W. It becomes very, very difficult, especially against the Volibear, the Cassante, who could so easily itemize against it. Victor, even we saw with that Verdant Barrier by the end of the game, correctly realizing essentially all they needed to build was magic damage, and they're not going to receive much of any threat at all, really.
Yeah, I mean, they sort of overcomplicated the draft a little bit, and it ultimately ended up a bit one-dimensional, which is a real problem. And like you said, they didn't really have the tools that they needed, and so much of the draft there for Howl was built around just go forward. And as soon as that trigger was pulled in the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, the follow-up was always going to be there in such a meaningful way. And by the end of it, unfortunately, SkullBullet just looked like roadkill.
Yeah, and it was actually SkullBullet that looked like they were in the favorable position, but a few missteps here and there, and good punishes ultimately coming through. I mean, obviously the first dragon, Goosey essentially gets solo killed by it, flashes to try and smite the dragon to at least get that, but unfortunately flashes at the same time as the Seraphine Q lands, and so he doesn't have the time to do both. And so it's just these small, I guess, I mean, that was a big mistake in terms of the impact on the game, but these small errors that do cost you quite a lot in the context of, you know, what the result's going to be. You shore up a few of those and you should be able to do a lot more in these games than the competition in general.